Transient Shaper is another of Neutron's dynamics processors. I assume most people know what this kind of effect does, but just in case, a Transient Shaper is a dynamics tool that's set up to allow the user to specifically target the attacks and releases of notes. Even with a regular compressor, tweaking the attack and release values can either punch up transients or soften them, and either tighten up decays or extend them for more ring. But doing it with a regular compressor, this envelope control is based on the other compression settings, and it can be fairly tweaky to dial up exactly the effect you might be looking for. A Transient Shaper, especially this Transient Shaper, makes that easy, with dedicated controls for emphasizing or de-emphasizing attack and release, which is labeled sustain here, to point up its musical functionality. The histogram shows when and how much change is being applied to the attacks and decays of notes. Transient Shaper can be a very useful tool for adjusting the snap and boom of various drums, as well as of an entire kit. It can also be extremely helpful in shaping a bass to get it to sit well in a mix. Increasing the attack can add some needed thump, and in some cases even coax more of a pick bass sound from a fingered part, and vice versa. A regular compressor on bass can be utilized to add some sustain, but here you can more specifically target that aspect of the sound. And if the bass is too boomy, taking up too much of the bottom end of the mix, as an alternative to dynamic EQ, you could shorten the note decays, giving the part a tighter overall feel, as if the player had dampened the strings more effectively. As with all the other modules, Transient Shaper can be run as a single band processor or in multi-band mode. Once again, you can enable up to 3 bands, set the crossover points by dragging, and solo or bypass each band. Having up to 3 bands can be especially useful on sources like a full drum kit, where it can let you apply different degrees and types of processing to the different drums and cymbals in the kit, optimizing each band for a particular task. For example, I could add some boom to the kick drum by setting the crossover to affect mostly just that drum, and then add a little punch to the snare, also tightening it up just a bit, while adding even more snap to the cymbals. To help shape the attacks and releases more effectively, the Transient Shaper has 3 curves available for each band. Sharp accentuates the changes, giving, for example, attacks more punch at a given attack setting, while smooth makes for a more subtle enhancement, again at a given setting. Finally, up top there are 3 global algorithms which affect the response along similar lines. Precise makes for tighter sounding attacks and releases, while loose provides a softer overall envelope, again with the same settings below. Naturally, balanced falls in between. It might be useful to make the specific settings at the bottom with balanced selected up top. Then you could try precise or loose to see how the effect you've dialed up sounds with subtle differences in both punch and boom going in either direction. Next up, Neutron's output section.